So whatever we are discussing in logic section, that is in general applicable to abstract as well as our research work. So what we are going to do now, a little extension of the 5 things which we have learned earlier. So let me just share the document. That day we could not do it well, but I think I could communicate what I wanted to. So I will just refresh your mind regarding that 5 point, and they are borrowed from what we call the Nyaya system of Indian philosophy. So the Nyaya system of Indian philosophy talks about 2 kinds of inferential knowledge. One inferential knowledge which is for ourselves, when we infer something for ourselves only. That means our intention is not to infer it for anyone else. And we infer something for ourselves because of certain reasons. First reason is that there is no perceptual access to that information, right? Whatever we want to infer, we don't have perceptual access to that. Anything which we can perceive, there is no point of inference, in fact, right? Inferential knowledge becomes relevant only when things are not perceptually available, because perception is by any means is primary source of knowledge, right? Whatever we can experience directly, that becomes primary thing regarding all our knowledge. So if we can know something directly without any logical involvement, so that is the most, let us say, comfortable, reliable, and convincing knowledge, and we don't need to do anything else in order to ascertain or justify, etc. So we are convinced the moment we experience, unless there is a compelling reason, we don't give up our experience, right? As I said, in the case of illusion, we find a later knowledge much more compelling than the illusory knowledge, and therefore we we reject the earlier knowledge. Okay. So perception is by any means is the primary source of knowledge. Inference comes after that. Whenever there is a possibility not to have perception, but we have enough of something which can be used for our inference. So I said what we call inferential knowledge, our thesis is going to be that whatever thesis we are going to present, that would be the body of our inferential knowledge. And that inference we have made not for ourselves, right? We have made it for the examiners, for the people who are going to evaluate, right? And the audience who are going to consult our work for their further study. Okay. So we are presenting something for others. That is the main concern. So the Nyaya philosophy provides the structure for presenting our knowledge to others, and that knowledge is presented in the structure of inferential knowledge, right? So first thing which we have noticed, I think you can see the page I am sharing. आपको ये पेज दिख रहा है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, ठीक है. तो मैं ये जो रेफर कर रहा हूं, प्रतिज्ञा, this we have seen as the first component in the structure of our inferential knowledge. And pratigya is proposition or hypothesis or the claim which you are going to make in the thesis, right? The example which we have taken up, there is fire in the hill. So let us say hill is a very high place and there is no way to reach there and see perceptually whether there is fire or not. So we want to establish this, that there is fire in the hill, which is not perceptually available. If it was perceptually available, there was no point of inference, right? So our hypothesis is the statement which is not obvious to ordinary mind. And even if it is obvious, the reasons which you are going to provide for your hypothesis is not obvious. Whatever claim we are going to make, that is our pratigya, hypothesis, proposition. And then we have some compelling reason for that. Why we are proposing that? हम वो रिसर्च टॉपिक क्यों ले रहे हैं, क्यों वो उसको क्यों हम रिसर्च गैप कह रहे हैं, right? So that we have considered as hetu, and the English equivalent to hetu is reason or provenance. So this is the reason you're giving, and when you say because, so you are providing reason. Whenever you use this expression, because or for, right, since, etc., all these things are indicating that this is the reason which you are offering. So because there is a smoke on the hill, why you want to say that there is fire in the hill? Because there is a smoke on the hill, and that you have perceived, right? धुआं तो उड़ता देख लिया, पहाड़ से दूर से ही दिख जाता है, right? तो धुआं देख लिया, क्या सिर्फ देखने से ही हमको इन्फेरेंशियल नॉलेज शुरू हो जाएगा? इन्फेरेंशियल नॉलेज के लिए मोटिवेशन हो जाएगा? So the Nyaya thinkers say that no, merely perception of smoke will not lead us to infer anything. Along with the perceptual input, along with that stimuli, you need to have some doubt whether there is fire or not, whether there could be fire or not, right? So in this particular case, since you have proposed to infer that there is fire in the hill, so the smoke which you perceive becomes the mark or sign to make such claim. That means you suddenly come across something in the review of your literature, in your study, you suddenly come across something which is inviting, which prompts you to explore more into that, right? जैसे कहते हैं आपको रिसर्च टॉपिक कैसे मिलेगा. So while reading certain literature, something occurs to you, and very interestingly, you have pointed out the broad area of your research in our introductory class, and certainly you are always inquisitive about a specific topic in that area, right? And suddenly you will come across, some of you might have come across already, right? Suddenly you will come across and pick up something which is inviting, and that is your hetu, right? Why do you want to propose that? Because you found that thing very interesting. So the smoke, the perception of smoke has triggered the process of reasoning, right? Now, in this case, you want to establish the presence of fire in the hill, and therefore the smoke becomes hetu for going into the exploration. Suppose you are a warden in a hostel, and you just happen to be in one of the corridors, and there you smell cigarette smoke. सिगरेट का धुआं आ ही जाता है नाक में अगर किसी ने पिया है सिगरेट. Now this is again perceptual knowledge, धुएं का perceptual knowledge, olfactory knowledge, right? नाक से smell is perception. Perception is not just your visual perception, right? Auditory, olfactory, tactual. So you have different kinds of perception. So in the hostel corridor, you suddenly smell a smoke of cigarette, right? Now here this will prompt you to reach to the person who is smoking, right? Your objective is not to find out the fire which is causing that cigarette smoke, but it is the mouth which is behind that fire is causing that smoke, right? So now your reasoning is not to establish fire on the basis of smoke, right? You want to find out the person who is causing that smoke, right? So depending on the nature of hetu and your purpose and the kind of curiosity you have, you propose, right, in your pratigya. So hetu is the immediate stimuli which prompted you to take up that study. Okay, so because there is smoke on the hill, you go for exploring that, right? Now, the third thing which we have learned is udaharana or drishtanta. So what is this? This is basically the general proposition, right? We have seen that it's a general proposition with certain tangible examples. That means a general proposition doesn't make much of sense if it is not associated with actual examples, right? So the general proposition is very important to establish your claim. If there is no generality found in the domain of already existing knowledge, it won't be possible to lead to any kind of logical conclusion. So udaharan or drishtanta in the Nyaya philosophy is that general proposition which demonstrate a necessary relationship between hetu and pratigya, or what you call sadhya, basically whatever you want to establish, right? साध्य, ये हमने देखा था, ये जिसको हम व्याप्ति कहते हैं, ये ऊपर लिखा ही है, अभी बहुत दूर नहीं गया, right? So necessary relationship between hetu which you have found inviting, and then this sadhya which you want to reach at. Okay, so general proposition is that universal statement which establishes a link and tells you that this is a necessary relationship. ये अगर necessary नहीं है तो फिर inference बनेगा नहीं, right? अगर वो casual है, conditional है, तो उसी हिसाब से वो inference भी गड़बड़ हो जाएगा, right? So wherever there is a smoke, there is fire. This is the general proposition. आप कहते हैं जहां जहां वहां है वहां आग है, आप ऐसा कहें in your general statement. But then it may not make much of sense to your audience, so you want to figure out, okay, look for example in this case, in the kitchen, in the bonfire, or in the burning garbage, or in a fire in a forest, or tea shop, or wherever. So you give certain examples, and these examples are commonly agreed examples. अगर इसी पे मतभेद हो गया तो फिर वो काम बनेगा नहीं, आगे काम बनेगा नहीं, आर्गुमेंट अच्छा डेवलप नहीं होगा, right? So consider udaharan or drishtanta is that general proposition which is instantiated with actual examples, right? And then the fourth one is upanaya. The Nyaya philosophers call it upanaya. Upanaya is the statement which suggests that whatever case you are taking up, that is a fit case in the general proposition. जो केस आप एक्सप्लोर करने जा रहे हो या जो आप क्लेम कर रहे हो वो उसी टाइप का है जैसे ये किचन है या बोन फायर है, राइट? ये उसी टाइप का सिचुएशन है, ये सिमिलर काइंड ऑफ केस है, राइट? That means the general proposition is applicable in your case also, right? This you have to justify that whatever you are proposing, that also falls under that general proposition which you have asserted, and this particular case is one of the cases which you have taken up in the one of the similar kind of cases which you are taking up as examples in the general proposition, right? And the moment you can justify that your case is also of the agreeable kind of cases, now you are in a position to impose your conclusion, nigaman. Now you are in a position to offer your conclusion. Okay, therefore, there is fire in the hill, right? So the Nyaya philosophers provide this structure, and very interestingly, the Jaina logicians developed this structure into 10 membered. These are 5, right? The Nyaya philosophers offer 5-membered syllogism or argument. Jaina philosophers very interestingly develop this into 10. So I would like to bring that thing also to your notice, that how these 10 things seem to be more comprehensive than 5, and these 10 things in fact become in some sense signpost, or they should become a signpost to demonstrate logicality in your thesis, in your argument, in your research paper, wherever, right? So only interesting thing you need to see the additions. Baki jo pratigya, hetu, udaharan, upane, nigaman, all these 5 are common. Terminology may be slightly different, but you will find these 5 things, but then they add something with respect to each of these steps. And that addition is important. And therefore, I wish to highlight that part, that how that addition makes our argument more lucid, more coherent, more nuanced. There is no gap seen by any ordinary reader. Okay. So pratigya first, वो तो वही है. Example उनका अपना देते हैं, उससे और वो interesting बना देते हैं, because always you come across very nice examples. Indian philosophers are fantastic in citing the examples from our life cases. जो रोज हम जीते हैं वहां से example. अभी जैसे जहां जहां धुआं है वहां आग है. This is very much common thing, right? Every day we see it. Okay. So they take very simple examples, and that shows that how they are concerned about the occurrences of our life, and by pointing that out, there are so many, in fact, ethical things, moral things appear suddenly when this discussion of metaphysics or logic goes on. ये बहुत ही significant part है, and therefore you don't find, in fact, a separate mention of ethics in the whole of Indian philosophy. It is integral part of the very process of learning. That is something wonderful, right? And I will suggest something more when we come to our ethics part. तो यहाँ देखिए लॉजिक बता रहे हैं, वो लॉजिकलिटी का एक्सप्लेनेशन कर रहे हैं, और उसमें एथिक्स भी साथ में बता रहे हैं. कितना मजेदार चीज है. So pratigya, proposition or hypothesis. Refrain from taking life is the greatest of virtues. You want to argue that this non-violence, refraining from taking life, this is non-violence, right? Ahimsa. अब वो आर्गुमेंट क्या करना चाह रहे हैं कि अहिंसा हाईएस्ट वर्च्यू है, सबसे बड़ा वो गुण है. अहिंसा इज द हाईएस्ट वर्च्यू. अब कोई कहेगा कि नो 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 नो, इट इज नॉट नॉन वायलेंस. नॉन वायलेंस इज ए काइंड ऑफ नेगेटिव थिंग, डोंट हार्म, so it's a kind of prohibition. How can the prohibition be the highest virtue? Instead, it could be compassion or love, etc. Right? So therefore, there is a doubt that how can ahimsa be taken to be the highest virtue? अब ये आ गया ना, क्यों आया? क्योंकि हमारा इस पे मतभेद है कि वेदर नॉन वायलेंस कुड बी द हाईएस्ट वर्च्यू, और हाईएस्ट का मतलब उससे ऊपर कोई और नहीं, राइट। तो अब ये आर्गुमेंट बन गया और इस पे बड़े सारे मतभेद हैं। सो प्रतिज्ञा में प्रपोज किया कि रिफ्रेन फ्रॉम टेकिंग लाइफ is the greatest of virtues. Immediately after that pratigya, the Jaina thinkers say that, okay, be aware, don't say something without any reservation, and that is the limitation. Pratigya vibhakti, limitation. Whatever hypothesis you propose, immediately after that proposal, you need to specify the limitation that you are focusing on this dimension. You are not proposing something without any reservation. So immediately the reservation of your proposal must appear, right? And that is called pratigya vibhakti in the Jaina tradition. So how they instantiate this pratigya vibhakti? Refrain from taking life is the greatest of virtues. And when you say according to someone, now you are not, in fact, putting an umbrella value. Now you are restricting that. What I am saying, that refraining from taking life is the greatest of virtue according to the Jaina tradition, right? That means you have pointed out, okay, this virtue is recognized as the highest virtue in this tradition, and now you are going to argue for that, okay? So pratigya must be corroborated by what we call pratigya vibhakti. And now you are comfortable because now you don't have much burden, right? Of course, you have to justify this claim, but then just by pointing out limitation, you have relieved yourself from any unnecessary burden of taking the whole of responsibility of every system or every person, everything, right? So you are narrowing down, जिसको कहते हैं ना, you are narrowing down your research thesis or hypothesis. You're making it narrow so that you can manage well, right? If it is too wide or too broad, very difficult to manage and then say something significantly. Then you will end up in just collecting the things and then putting it together, and that cannot be called research, right? So pratigya vibhakti is very important component in our argumentation. You must see that, yes, I am not taking the whole world into consideration, I am just pointing out this very thing. Then hetu. Why do you say that the non-violence is highest of virtues? Why do you claim like that? So the Jaina thinkers would say that because वो शुरू स्ट्रक्चर वही होगा, because those who are non-violent are loved by gods and they are revered in the society. आपने reason दिया, those who are non-violent, gods love them, God or gods, whatever you want to say, and also they have high honor in the society, right? You are giving हेतु, रीजन दिया, जैसे वहां रीजन दिया था धुआं है, right? So when you offered the reason, the way you have qualified your pratigya, immediately the Jaina thinkers say that you have to qualify your reason also. It cannot be a blanket reason. So no need to take too much burden. आपको इसको qualify करना है. तो कैसे qualify करते हैं? That means you are going to point out the limitation of your reason, the way you have pointed out the limitation of your hypothesis. So what you say that none but only those who are non-violent are revered personality or honored being. So none but only those who are non-violent are recognized as the persons with highest virtue. Okay? Recognized, none but only those who are non-violent are recognized as the persons with highest virtue. Okay? So now you are, look at the qualification. This is something very interesting. हेतु क्या बोला था? Because those who are non-violent are loved by gods and they are revered in the society. You are qualifying it. और बाकी कोई नहीं, और बाकी none but only those who are non-violent are recognized as the persons with highest virtue. So you are not now simply saying that, okay, anyone whom God loves or anyone who is revered in the society is non-violent. That is not your claim. In the Hetu, you are not saying that. In Hetu Vibhakti, you are pointing out that very thing, right? जो non-violent है, उसी को हम person with highest virtue कहते हैं, right? And then you give examples. I suppose someone says that this Hetu Vibhakti is something which is problematic. तो वो कहेगा कि ये ठीक नहीं है, तो उसको क्या कहेंगे? विपक्ष. ये जो आपने कहा ना, none but only those who are non-violent are recognized as persons with highest virtue, immediately तुरंत कहेगा ये तो ठीक नहीं है. जैन थिंकर कहता है कि then you have to consider the opposite, विपक्ष. विपक्ष of what? ये हेतु विभक्ति कहा, इसका विपक्ष देखना, right? Counter position. So immediately you are going to highlight the counter position. So how do you say that? Suppose you say that counter position जब करते हैं तो कैसे शुरू करते हैं? You say however or but, right? Just to rebut the thing which is said earlier. So vipaksha is to be begin with however or but. So suppose you say that, but those who despise the non-violent Jaina thinkers or Jain Munis and take life are said to be loved by the gods, and men regard doing them honor as an act of merit. क्या आप कह रहे हो कि but there are fake ones, but there are fake ones. आप कह रहे हो बड़े बड़े जगलर भी हैं जो ऊपर से दिखाते हैं नॉन वायलेंट हैं and they say that I am loved by God, I have, and they have honor, right? So there are fake ones. ये आपने सीधे विपक्ष बता दिया. ये आप जो कह रहे हो, only those who are non-violent are recognized as the persons with highest virtue and they are loved by God, etc. So immediately you face the opposition. नहीं, बड़े सारे बदमाश भी हैं संत. वो देखने में संत लगते हैं, वो नॉन वायलेंट नहीं है, अंदर खूब खाना पीना होता है, and but then they are revered in the society, they are loved by the gods, at least they claim like that, right? So you have offered, you have considered the counter position, विपक्ष. अब ये जैसे ऑब्जेक्शन उठा दिया गया तो आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा? You have to counter the counter position. ये ऑब्जेक्शन आ गया ना, काउंटर करना पड़ेगा। काउंटर पोजीशन क्या है? प्रतिषेध, विपक्ष प्रतिषेध, विपक्ष का प्रतिषेध करना पड़ेगा। ऑब्जेक्शन आ गया ना, तो अब ऑब्जेक्शन का निराकरण करना पड़ेगा। तो इमीडिएटली द जैन थिंकर्स से दैट you have to countering the counter position, countering the counter position। उसके अपोजिशन में आपको बोलना पड़ेगा कि नहीं नहीं ये तो ठीक नहीं है। क्यों ठीक नहीं है, इसके लिए आपको रीजन देना पड़ेगा, एंड दैट रीजन यू ऑफर्ड अंडर द कैटेगरी कॉल्ड विपक्ष प्रतिषेध। So how do you say that? Those who take life or those who do violence as forbidden by the Jaina tradition do not deserve honor, and they are certainly not loved by gods, though they may claim, right? They may claim, but they are not loved by gods. So what you say? You say no, they are not the genuine ones। जो आपने बताया कि फेक हैं, तो आप कहते हैं they are not genuine in fact। हमने फेक वंस लिख दिया है, बट ये फेक ये नहीं कहेगा जो विपक्ष है, वो कहेगा कि नहीं, ऐसे लोग हैं जो वायलेंट हैं फिर भी दे आर लव्ड बाय गॉड्स। तो मैं ये जो फेक लिख दिया हूं, दैट मे बी लिटिल मिसलीडिंग, राइट? देयर आर सच पर्सन्स। अब फेक वंस हमने कह दिया ऐसा, तो ये अब फेक यहां कह रहे हैं वास्तव में, अगर देखा जाए। ऊपर तो सिर्फ विपक्ष दिखा दिया कि देखो वो वायलेंट है फिर भी गॉड उसको लव कर रहे हैं और सोसाइटी में उसका ऑनर है। वो काउंटर क्लेम बना दिया। तो आप उसको काउंटर करते समय यहाँ यू हैव टू पॉइंट आउट, नो, दे आर नॉट द जेन्युइन वंस। दे आर लाइक, आप ऐसे कहो, दे आर लाइक किस तरह है? ये जो फर्जी संत महात्मा हैं या जो वायलेंट हैं फिर भी ऐसा दिखावा करते हैं, it is as likely that fire will be cold as that they will be loved by the gods. So if you say that these fake ones are loved by gods, then you are saying as if fire is cold. If you say violent people are loved by gods, then what you are saying as if fire is cold। आप जो ये विपक्ष दे रहे हो, ये आपका इस तरह कहना है जैसे आपको आग को ठंडी कह रहे हो, राइट? So they are not the genuine ones, saying them genuine would amount to saying that fire is cold। आपने एग्जाम्पल उसका कह दिया कि ये तो आप ऐसे कहोगे तो आप वैसे कह रहे हो जैसे आग ठंडी है, या any kind of such contradictory examples, right? So you have offered the counter position, then you have to advance your thesis, right? So then you come with what we have seen, दृष्टांत और उदाहरण जो आपने उधर देखा। यहां तक तो आपने रिबटल कर दिया, अब आप एग्जाम्पल दे रहे हैं, दृष्टांत प्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं। क्या कहेंगे? The Jain Munis do not cook even their food। आप एग्जाम्पल दे रहे हैं, the Jain Munis do not prepare even food for themselves because it involves some amount of violence. अब देखते ही हैं खाना बनाते समय बैगन लाया, कीड़ा है तो उसको काटते समय कीड़ा भी कट गया, भले ही फेंक दिया, अंधेरे में काटा तो अलग बात है। बहुत सारे in informing you do so much harm to the insects, right? So दृष्टांत क्या दे रहे हैं कि look at the Jain Munis, they are the exemplars, right? They are the role model for the Jaina tradition. So look at the Jain Munis, they don't cook even for themselves. Why? Precisely because cooking involves some amount of violence. There are many घुन मर जाते हैं उसमें, right? बड़े सारे, when you rinse your vegetables, you do harm to many insects. In fact, that is necessary. It's a kind of necessary violence. You are doing something, and because of that, life is harmed. But your intention is not to harm life. But the Jaina tradition is very strictly non-violent tradition. It says that no, we should not violate this maxim that every life is precious and there should not be any harm, even if it is dangerous. तो जैन मुनि मुंह में लगा के रखते हैं ना, हम लोग तो अभी मास्क पहनना शुरू किए. They used to wear traditionally, right? The Jain Munis. And why they wear that mask? Not because corona will kill them, but because their breathing may be harmful to corona, right? So look at this drishtanta. They say that जैन मुनि खाना भी नहीं बनाते हैं और वो हमारे रोल मॉडल हैं. क्यों खाना नहीं बनाते? क्योंकि खाना बनाने में वायलेंस होता है. तो आपने दृष्टांत दे दिया अपने. अब आपका जो विपक्षी है वो तो ऐसे शांत बैठेगा नहीं ना, तो वो भी कहेगा नहीं नहीं ये तो आपका ठीक नहीं है. क्या ठीक नहीं है? वो कहते हैं मुझे थोड़ा डाउट है. आर्गुमेंट जब चलता है ना, जैसे आपने दृष्टांत दिया तो कहेगा कि हमको थोड़ा डाउट है, ये जो आपने एग्जाम्पल दिया क्या डाउट है? जैन मुनि उसको ऐसे बोलेगा, आशंका, हमको आशंका है, ये जो आपने एग्जाम्पल दिया इसमें हमें डाउट है. क्या डाउट है? अब ये विरोधी कह रहा है ना, आशंका, डाउट. इस रिगार्ड में यही जो आपने दृष्टांत दिया है, इसी रिगार्ड में डाउट है. क्या डाउट है? Those Jain Munis who don't cook for themselves, they also take food. खाना तो खाते हैं. खाना जब खाते हैं तो ये खाना कोई तो बनाता है, बिना बनाए तो कच्चे तो चबाते नहीं है बैठ के. कोई बनाता है. कौन बनाता है? हाउस होल्डर्स. And if cooking involves violence and violence invite sin or demerit, then all those who are taking that food must share the pap or sin which is committed in the preparation of food. तो जो आप कहते हैं जैन मुनि खाना भी नहीं बनाते हैं, इसमें हमें शंका है. उनके वो खाते तो हैं, ये तो आप मानोगे, हाँ खाते हैं. खाते हैं तो कोई बनाता है, हाँ बनाता है. तो जब बनाता है तो उसमें तो वायलेंस हो गया, और जब वायलेंस हुआ तो वो पाप हुआ. तो पाप जितने लोग खाना खाएंगे उन सबको वो पाप लगेगा, पक्का है. आशंका आ गया, आशंका ना. So the Jain Munis must share the sin committed by the householders. कहीं से तो खा रहे हैं ना, किसी गृहस्थ के यहाँ से. By the householders. The Jain Munis must share the sin committed by the householders during the preparation of food. आशंका हो गया, आप कैसे कहेंगे वायलेंस? तो अगर उसका पाप उनको लग रहा है तो उन जो खाना खा रहे हैं, जिस भी वायलेंस है, जैसे कोई घूस लेके अपने बच्चों को पढ़ा रहा है, करप्शन करके, बेईमानी करके, चोरी करके, दुनिया भर का मिसमैनेजमेंट करके, क्या कहेंगे कि जो भी पाप हो रहा है, जिसका भी एक्सप्लॉयटेशन करके वो पैसा कमा रहा है, वो तो शेयर करना पड़ेगा, उन बच्चों को भी होना पड़ेगा, भोगना पड़ेगा। लेकिन समाज में ऐसा कम देखा जाता है। वो नारायण स्वामी और आशाराम दोनों लोग, they are not jailed for single crime, in fact. They are jailed for their individual crimes. Narayan Swami is not jailed because Asharam did something, right? ऐसे ही करप्शन में लोग पकड़े जाते हैं तो उनके फैमिली को सजा नहीं होती. एज अ मैटर ऑफ फैक्ट द फैमिली इज एंजॉयिंग इट, रिलेटिव्स आर एंजॉयिंग इन फैक्ट ऑल द benefits which are generated by that corrupt politician or bureaucrat or engineer or anyone, right? बच्चे एंजॉय कर रहे हैं, फैमिली एंजॉय कर रहा है, सब एंजॉय कर रहे हैं. बट जेल जाएंगे तो खाली इंजीनियर साहब जाएंगे या आईएएस जाएंगे या नेताजी जाएंगे, राइट? पूरा परिवार नहीं जाएगा. क्या प्रिंसिपल है उसके पीछे? जैन जो है उसको बताएगा आगे. आशंका हो गया, आशंका आ गया कि हाँ, अगर बेईमानी से पैसा कमा के परिवार पाला गया है तो जब बेईमानी पकड़ी गई तो पूरे परिवार को सजा होनी चाहिए. तो कहें या दिस इज टू मच, राइट? दैट मीन्स यू हैव टू हैव प्रतिषेध ऑफ आशंका. जो आशंका हुआ ना, आशंका प्रतिषेध करना पड़ेगा. दिस इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग वे ऑफ आर्गुमेंट, राइट? आशंका प्रतिषेध, आशंका प्रतिषेध. What is the pratished offered here? The counterposition to Ashanka. Well, look, the householders are preparing food not for the Jain Munis, for themselves. The householders, अगर हाउसहोल्डर ने जैन मुनि को इनवाइट किया है और उनके इनविटेशन की वजह से खाना बनाया है तो पक्का है जैन मुनि को भी वो सिन लगेगा, वो अपराध लगेगा जिसको उन्होंने खाने में अर्जित किया, राइट? सो इफ हाउसहोल्डर्स हैव प्रिपेयर्ड food specifically for Jain Munis, then certainly Jain Munis have to bear the burden of the sin, क्योंकि उनके लिए बनाया गया, right? But householders prepared food for themselves, and then Jain Munis just happen to be there. They go for begging. They go for भिक्षा, right? और कब कहाँ भिक्षा के लिए जाएंगे इसके लिए वो फिक्स नहीं करते हैं. इनफैक्ट इन द संन्यास ट्रेडिशन it is strictly prohibited that you must accept invitation. You should accept invitation. No, Jainas or any Muni, in fact any sannyasi is not supposed to accept invitation. खाने का क्या करना है? संन्यास ट्रेडिशन क्या कहता है? You just land up somewhere and then take whatever is offered. उनको भिक्षा मांगिए और जो भी मिल गया. ये नहीं कि पहले से उनको पता है कि आप आएंगे भिक्षा लेने हैं तो फिर उन्होंने बड़ा इलेबोरेट डिश प्रिपेयर किया. कहते हैं नहीं, ऐसे नहीं. जैन जितने सन्यासी हैं, वो जैन ट्रेडिशन हो या बौद्ध ट्रेडिशन हो या हिंदू ट्रेडिशन, किसी भी ट्रेडिशन के सन्यासी, संन्यास ट्रेडिशन स्ट्रिक्टली इसको मना करता है कि आप इनविटेशन, यू शुड नॉट गो एनीवेयर फॉर फूड अगेंस्ट इनविटेशन. सो आशंका प्रतिषेध is from that perspective, that look, the food is not specifically prepared for the Jain Munis, and therefore the sin committed during the preparation will not go to the Jain Muni. वो तो पहुंच गए, बस मिल गया उनको खाना. Karma theory is not this by chance theory. Karma theory is very fine theory, right? तो जैन मुनि को पाप तब लगेगा जब उनको इनविटेशन मिला है और उनका जो डिवोटी है या जो भी हाउस होल्डर है उसने बड़ा कि आज गुरु जी आ रहे हैं और उनको खिलाना है, इसलिए बहुत सारा प्रिपरेशन किया खूब, और जितना इलेबोरेट प्रिपरेशन करेंगे उतना ही सिन होगा ही, जीव उतने मरेंगे ही, राइट? सो आशंका प्रतिषेध कहता है कि नो, द फूड इज not prepared for the Muni only. The Muni just happened to be there. और कुछ नहीं. The Jaina Munis just happened to be there. तो ये जो आप आशंका कर रहे हो कि उनको पाप लगेगा, ये ठीक नहीं है. अगर वो पहले से इनविटेशन होता तो पक्का लगेगा, राइट? सो आशंका प्रतिषेध. अब जब आशंका प्रतिषेध हो गया, नाउ यू कैन जस्ट एस्टैब्लिश द क्लेम. लास्ट में आया ना कंक्लूजन, निगमन, निगमन, कंक्लूजन. और कंक्लूजन यही है जो इधर हमने प्रतिज्ञा में लिखा था, राइट? So therefore you need to just say it. Therefore that is the marker of conclusion, right? आपने मेरा आर्टिकल पढ़ा होगा उसमें तो. So in the conclusion you say that to refrain from taking life is therefore the best of virtues, because those who so refrain are loved by gods, and to them honor, the society honors, right? And honoring such individuals is a kind of meritorious act. बहुत जो ऑनरेबल नहीं है उसको ऑनरेबल कहना भी सिंफुल है. किसी चोर को जो है ऑनर करना, जैसा कि अभी डेमोक्रेसी में बड़ा सारा होता भी है, वो भी एक अपराध है, राइट? So in the conclusion, you say that refraining from taking life is the highest of virtues, and such individuals are loved by gods, and the society honors them, and by honoring them, the society earns merit, right? In fact, the householders don't dishonor the Jain Muni or any sannyasi. If you dishonor the sannyasi which happen to be at your door for begging, and genuine sannyasi, I'm not talking about those who are begging and then having some kind of fun in the evening, right? The genuine sannyasis. If you dishonor the genuine sannyasis, then you earn demerit. And by offering meal to them, you are basically relieving yourself from the burden committed during the preparation of food, the burden of violence committed during the preparation of food. You relieve yourself, right? So this way, you see, the Jaina logicians, they offer, ये कितना है? 10 हो गया ना? Altogether you have 10. So these are 10 steps offered by the Jaina logicians, and if you follow these 10 steps rigorously in your thesis, in your article, I don't think there can be anyone who can reject your article on the ground of logicality. Maybe on some other ground, reliability of facts, etc., whatever you are presenting, but argument wise, nobody can question. And even you can cross-check the problems of facts, etc., because all these vipaksha, pratished, Ashanka Pratished, they all provide opportunity to examine the kind of evidence you are offering, right? So this way the Jaina thinkers present very nicely a comprehensive structure of the inferential knowledge. So I hope this is something which is interesting, and because of that I presented for your consideration, and you can just look into the structure and see whether this is a reliable one, this is a good one or not, right? So let us stop here. It's already 11. So I stop here, and then see you then on Wednesday at 6.